안녕하세요. Thank you. I'm really excited to be in Seoul and to be at this conference. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I'm excited to be here not just because I love Seoul and I love Korean food. I'm excited to be here because the theme of this conference, coexistence, is exactly why we started Evernote. It's like the theme for a conference perfectly chosen for us. So since Evernote is not quite so well known, since we're not quite as famous as many of the other companies that have presented before us, let me just talk for just a couple of minutes about what Evernote is. Evernote, the goal of Evernote is to build a second brain for everyone. We want to be the permanent, trusted, and ubiquitous destination for all of your most important memories, all of your personal and all of your business and all of your educational memories. When we say that we want Evernote to be your second brain, we mean that very directly. In fact, we build Evernote for us. We are the target users. We created Evernote because we wanted to build the products that we wanted to use. And so we are the target users of Evernote. In fact, as the CEO of Evernote, I am the target user. When we build Evernote, we really build it for me. And so here's how I see it. So here's my brain. And I think my brain is divided into two parts. There's a part of my brain that's dedicated to killing time, and a part of my brain that's dedicated to saving time. And so let's say I have 5 minutes, and I'm waiting in a coffee shop for a friend to show up, and I have 5 minutes. What am I going to do? Well, 5 years ago, I wouldn't have done anything. There was nothing you can do in 5 minutes in a coffee shop 5 years ago. But of course now, because of the proliferation of mobile devices, I take out my phone or my tablet, and I can have many choices. So what do I want to do? Well, if I want that 5 minutes to go by quickly, if I want a diversion, if I want entertainment, if I want to check up on my friends or gossip, I have many beautiful choices, many beautiful companies in the past 5 or 10 years that let me do that. Facebook and Zynga and Angry Birds. And these companies have really invented something wonderful. They have figured out a way to make technology, to make software that's so engaging, that's so easy to use, that's so fun to use, that billions of people worldwide choose to spend time with them without being forced to. Very few companies force their employees to play Angry Birds, and yet most companies' employees do. So these companies have really innovated. They've come up with a way to make really great engagement and user experience. And if I want to kill time, I have many choices. But if I want to spend that same 5 minutes and I want to feel like I accomplished something productive, that's what Evernote is for me. So at Evernote, we want to be the Zynga of actually getting something accomplished. We want to build systems that make me productive, that make me happy, that give me a better memory, but do it in the same fun, engaging way as these other great companies. So Evernote is meant to be my second brain. And here is the very first use case that I used Evernote for. The very first time that we built enough of Evernote that it was working, this is what I first did. I was reading an article online about how to buy prescription eyeglasses online. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. I never thought about buying glasses online. So I clipped that article in Evernote using a web clipper. I pushed a button, and automatically the whole article with the URL, everything was saved. And then a few months later, my glasses broke. And I thought, great, I know what to do. I went to the site, but unfortunately that article was gone already. But of course, I still had it in my Evernote. So I looked at it in Evernote, I went to the site, and I clicked through the links of the glasses that I wanted to buy. And I picked the glasses that I was interested in, and I also clipped them into Evernote. And so I clipped this pair. And I came home to show my wife. And I said, well, what do you think about these? And she said, absolutely not. I said, OK, well, what about these? And she said, maybe. OK, yeah, you can get those. So I clicked through in Evernote, and I went to the website that sells these glasses. And of course, before I could buy them, I had to type in my prescription for my eyeglasses. But the last time I went to get my eyes examined, the doctor handed me my prescription on a piece of paper, and I just took a picture of it with my phone and put that into Evernote. And so I just searched for that. Since Evernote can actually search for text and pictures, I just searched for my name and eyeglass prescription, and I found the original document. I typed it into the website, got the glasses. The glasses showed up. I put them on. I came home. My wife said, no, those aren't going to work either. I have to get you glasses in person. So she physically dragged me down to the local store, totally defeating the purpose of this whole experiment of buying glasses online. And she said, here, you have to buy exactly these. So I did that, and then when it was time to check out at the store, of course, they also needed my prescription. So I just did the same query on my phone, showed them my phone, and got my glasses. So in this case, Evernote supported work that I did on one computer, and then moved over to a different computer, and then my phone, and it supported one e-commerce transaction, one physical world transaction, and it preserved marital harmony and bliss. So that was my first experience with it. And this was many years ago, 4 years ago when we first started. Here are just some of the things I did with Evernote a couple of weeks ago, all in one day. So I was at a conference, and I used Evernote to remember all of the people that I was meeting. One of our applications is Evernote Hello. Gives you a very beautiful visual memory of all the people you meet. So I was using it for that. I was also using Evernote Food to remember the really great scotch that some of these people recommended. I was working on a board presentation, so I used Evernote to clip all of the content about, in this case, it's carrier coverage worldwide for my board. I'm in the process of buying a new house. I needed to make sure to actually close on the house before the Facebook IPO. And so I used Evernote Sketch to very quickly send messages back and forth with the architect, telling him, well, what about this room here? Can we move this over here? I used Evernote to record audio notes of people's names that I had to introduce so that I could practice saying the names and get them right. I worked back and forth with our designer on the branding of our new Evernote China service, which we just launched last week. And I met Reid Hoffman, the CEO of LinkedIn and the author of a new book, and I had him sign an electronic copy of his book with his finger in Evernote, so now I have his autograph electronically. So that was one day of Evernote use. So that's the idea. The idea is to have Evernote be a product family to be your external brain. So we have the central service and all of the apps around it, which lets you capture and explore and experience many different types of memories and content. And the whole goal of Evernote is to improve your life through technology, is to really build a second brain, which is why I was so excited to be speaking about the conference. So I really think the future of consumer technology will echo a theme that actually a few other speakers said, including Ms. Bell right before me. I think the future of consumer technology, in fact, the future of Evernote, if you ask me what are we working on right now, it's this. The future of consumer technology is AI. But it may not mean what you think it means. It's not the old definition of AI, which is artificial intelligence. I think that's a weird definition. In fact, I think that definition got off to a bad start right at the beginning, right in 1950, right with a test the previous speaker was talking about. When artificial intelligence, the test was, can we make a computer think like a person? Can we make a computer as smart as a person? That's a weird thing. It's very difficult to do. It's like you're starting this industry, and the very first thing you try to do is the hardest thing in the universe. But it's also kind of a questionable business model. I'm not actually sure what you would do with a computer once it got to be as smart as a person. So it's a bad way to start. So I think that AI no longer means artificial intelligence. It means augmented intelligence. And that's what we try to build at Evernote. So the idea is, it's not that the computer is smarter than a person. It's the computer plus the person is far smarter than the person would be by himself or by herself. That's what we try to do. One of our newest investors said this really well. He said, I want the experience of Evernote to feel like it's completing my thoughts. And that's what we're going after. So at the first part of Evernote, in the beginning, we were building memory. Right? Our slogan is remember everything. We want it to be your universal memory. That's just a part of your external brain. That's the beginning. The second part is to actually help you think better, make you smarter, and that's augmented intelligence. So we're moving into many technologies that'll give you recommendations, that'll complete your thoughts for you. But unlike what Steve Ballmer was talking about, unlike a lot of big data companies, we're actually doing this in a very different way, because the future of technology doesn't have to be big data. In fact, at Evernote, we are not a big data company. We have 32 million users today, and we don't think of ourselves as having a big data issue. We think of ourselves as having 32 million small data issues. So we want to make your information and your intelligence important for you and smarter for you. But we don't need to cross-reference it with anyone else. We don't need to compare you to other people. We don't need to figure out ways to serve you better ads. We want this machine learning to be fully for the benefit of you, not for the benefit of us as a company. Our business model does not depend on monetizing your data. Our business model only depends on making you so happy that you use Evernote for the rest of your life and get all of your friends to do it. And some of them love it so much that maybe 5% of them give us $5 a month for it. So there's another big trend which I think is happening because of the coexistence of technology and humanity that we're really trying to push at Evernote, which is the evolution of product design. And I think product design right now, in the past couple of years, has really meant single-device user experience. And Apple has really taught the world this. Apple has really taught the world that the most important thing, the most important determining factor for the success or failure of a product is the user experience. And so Apple is amazingly great at single-device user experience. For example, the iPad, the new iPad, is a really beautiful device. And it's going to be very, very hard, very difficult to make a tablet, a single tablet, that's going to be a better user experience than the iPad. Very hard. Now, not impossible, and many people are going to try. In fact, many companies in this room are going to try to do it, and some of them might. But it's very difficult to beat Apple on the single-device user experience. But I think that's the last battle. I think that's the old battle. I think the new battle is moving from single-device user experience to whole-life user experience. The idea is not just how beautiful can you make the tablet, it's how beautiful can you make the experience of all of your devices, of everything that you touch, interacting together. When you wake up in the morning, going from your alarm clock, to your shower, to your phone, to your computer, to your refrigerator, to your tablet, to your car, to your bathroom scale, to your motion monitor telling you how much exercise you're getting, having all of those things be contextually aware, having all of them know about what the rest are doing and what I'm doing, giving me a beautiful whole life, 360-degree user experience. I think that's the next frontier. That's the next user experience battle. And I think the companies who are going to dominate the whole life user experience may not be the same companies that dominate the single product user experience. They may be. And of course, Apple and other companies know this and are working very hard for it. But it takes a different mentality to succeed at whole life user experience. It takes more openness. It takes more ability to relinquish control, because no single company can ever control all of these devices. In fact, some of the companies that potentially have a really big advantage in a whole life user experience are Korean companies, are companies like Samsung and LG, just because they make so many of the things. They make so much of the stuff that I use every day. If they can just put them together in a really beautiful way, if they can make them smart, they could have a really big advantage. And of course, Evernote works on every single device. Our whole goal is that we work on every computer, every phone, every television, every refrigerator, everything that you'll ever own, because we really believe that the single most important thing for technology in the next few years is this whole life user experience. But I actually think there's one more thing which is even more important. One more area in which technology, I think, has had an even more profound effect on society, really in the last 10 years than anything I've said before, which is basically, I think that in the past 10 years, technology has enabled a completely new type of entrepreneurship. Technology has created completely new opportunities for entrepreneurs and how we think about making products and starting companies and really reaching out and changing the world. And basically, it's because of this. So just from my personal experience, Evernote is my third company. And many of the people at Evernote were with me for my first two companies, and many others had their own companies beforehand. And my first two companies were also, software companies, and they did reasonably well. But the market was very, very different then. In fact, there were four major things that are around right now that Evernote is able to take advantage of, and all the new companies are able to take advantage of, which did not exist at all 5 years ago. And these things have fundamentally changed the world. I think the formula goes something like this. What's new is app stores. So app stores, before app stores, in my last company, when we would make a new version of our software, we had to worry, well, how are people in Canada going to be able to get it? Well, we better do a deal with some Canadian distributor to make sure that they can get it. Of course, now that never even occurs to you if you're making software. Well, what do you mean, how are people in Canada going to get it? You make a great product, you put it in the App Store, the next day the whole world can download it. So you don't have to worry nearly as much about logistics and about channels. Cloud services didn't exist at all. We had to build everything from scratch. We had to spend millions of dollars and many years of effort building and standing up our own application servers, databases, Now you can start a company, and by using Amazon or Microsoft or Google, you can get started within a day. You can do in a week what it used to take you years to do. So you don't have to worry quite as much about that. Social media. Social media is enormous. Before, in my previous company, we used to have to worry about, well, we can make a really great product, but how are people going to find out about it? Well, we better really worry about advertising. We better really worry about marketing. Because after all, what's the point of making a great product if nobody knows about it? You'll still fail. That's not the case anymore. Certainly not in the consumer internet space. If you're a consumer company and you make a great product, the whole world will know about you within days because of social media. And your product doesn't have to be social in and of itself. Evernote is not social. Evernote is not viral. In fact, we used to say Evernote is antisocial. Evernote doesn't care about your friends. Evernote doesn't care about your friend's dog. Evernote just cares about you and about what's important to you and about what's on your mind. And even though we weren't social, everyone still knows about us because we were good. And everyone on the planet is already connected, well, almost everyone on the planet, and is having thousands of conversations through all the social media channels. And what do they talk about? Well, they talk about what they love. So if you want everyone in the world to know about you, you don't have to be social. You just have to be great. And I'm lucky enough to be able to give some advice to new entrepreneurs pretty often. And I'll often hear people come up to me and say, hey, Phil, I've got this great app, and it's really good, but no one knows about it. What do I do? How do I make people know about it? And I say, well, if nobody knows about your app, the only reason is that it sucks. It can't be a great app. If it was a great app and you put it in the App Store and you weren't totally stupid about how you price it and that kind of stuff, everyone will know about it. So cloud services, open source infrastructure, app stores, social media, all these things are new. They weren't around when I started my first company in 1997. They weren't around when I started my second company in 2001, but all of them were around when we restarted Evernote, when we started to build Evernote in 2007. And when you add these things together, you get this new social force. You get geek meritocracy. I think this is the real gift of technology over the past few years, is that we now live almost perfectly in a geek meritocracy. A meritocracy is, of course, it's a system of society, of government, of social structure where the only thing that matters to succeed is whether you're the best. So the best succeed. The people who are the smartest, the people who work the hardest, the people who have the best results, they succeed, not the people who have the best marketing, not necessarily the people who have the best legal department, not the people who put up lots of barriers to entry and who have the best lawyers or the best channels. It's a meritocracy. That means if you have a great idea, if you can make a great product, that's all you need in order to succeed. And that was not true even 5 years ago, but it's true now. And because of this, because we live in this geek meritocracy, excuse me, I think the world is fundamentally changing. And you have many opportunities and many companies, both in the for-profit space like ours, also in the nonprofit and charity spaces. You have many ideas that can finally succeed just by being the best. In some ways, geek meritocracy means that the whole world is going to be much more like Korea, which I think is a good thing. I think there are systems of meritocracy in place in Korean societies, which have been in place for a long time, which are actually much more advanced than in the West. So when you add all this stuff together, it shows that you have to have the best product to succeed. And how do you make the best product? Well, you have to make the best product by being a global company. And a global company used to just mean that you sold your stuff everywhere. But that's not the definition of a global company anymore. I think the definition of a global company isn't where you sell stuff, it's where you make stuff. And so we want to make Evernote everywhere. We want to make it in the world's greatest centers of innovation, and we want to make it so great that everyone in the world loves it and everyone in the world gets it. Which is why we now have offices where we manufacture the product in the greatest centers of world innovation, in Silicon Valley, of course, in Austin, Texas, where they have great innovation and great barbecue, in Zurich, in Moscow, in Beijing, in Tokyo, and as of today, I'm very happy to say, in Seoul. So we've just opened an office in Seoul. I haven't even been there yet, but I'm going to go right after I get off the stage here. And we're going to be hiring the best Korean developers, designers, entrepreneurs, and partners to help us make Evernote great. So in conclusion, I think because of technology, because of the confluence of technology and humanity, because we live in a geek meritocracy, I think now is the best time in the history of the world to make a meaningful and enduring technology company. That's why I'm so happy to be here. So thank you very much. 감사합니다.